there was probably a mental hurdle to get over once that happened too, right? You finally feel like you get your big break and then it gets taken away. Was that kind of a make or break moment, you think, for you? The 1-2, swing and a miss by McGee, strike three. Julian Tymochko with another strikeout. There's a flip to second, and that will do it. Tymochko gets through a great inning, holds the London Majors right there.
We're going to need the likes of me and Valdez and Tamachko and those guys to kind of step up and give us that depth that will get us to the finish line.
Julian Tymochko is going to stop by the show later on. Thanks so much for watching Leafs Weekly, episode 5 of this 2024 Intercounty Baseball League season. And if you watched last episode, you would have seen Sam Green call out who he thought would be some of the more important pitchers on the Maple Leafs this season. And one of the guys he talked about was Julian Tymochko. And we're going to talk to him a little bit later in the show about some of this stuff. But Julian Tymochko, I think, is set up to have a pretty good year. And I think Sam Green thinks that that's on the horizon for Julian Tymochko as well. He has added another pitch to his repertoire this year that he's had in the past, but he didn't really have this year, and that's the slider. And I think that's really going to help him get some of the righty bats out that he struggled with last season. He had a bit of a slow start to the Intercounty Baseball League season last year, although he did pitch really well when the lights were the brightest for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He pitched in 4 games that the Maple Leafs were winning, had an ERA of just over 4, had 7 strikeouts over those 4 innings as well. So he pitched really well when he needed to, although he was kind of just a fastball changeup pitcher, which makes it kind of hard when you don't have a pitch that's breaking away from the righty bats. Well, he says that's going to be in the mix this year. So I think that's something to look forward to from Julian Tymochko. He also gets his fastball well over 90 miles an hour as well. So having a mix between those 3 pitches with the changeup, the slider, and the fastball is really going to help him out. And as Sam Green said, Julian Tymochko is a guy that's going to be really important in this Maple Leafs bullpen, or maybe even starting games as well. That's what he did his entire career before coming to the Toronto Maple Leafs, but we'll see how those roles play out either way. Julian Tymochko set to play a big role for this Toronto Maple Leafs this season, so let's bring in him right now. All right, joined now by Julian Tymochko from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Julian, I know this is the time of year, right, where you're so excited just to get back into this season. We're nearly a month until opening day. How excited are you just to get back into baseball with the Leafs?
Yeah, we've had a couple of days of really nice weather coming up that just passed, and that's really gotten the itch going lately. And then just seeing what we're doing around with the team and the guys, I can't wait. And thankfully, it's only a month away, and that month will hopefully feel like a week.
Julian, I know that you were new to the Toronto Maple Leafs last year. I want to get to know you just a little bit for some of the fans as well. Can you tell me just kind of what got you into baseball? What made you want to be a pitcher when you were young?
Yeah, honestly, getting me into baseball, that was definitely just the old man. He got me in really, really young at Hyde Park growing up, and that's a connection I have with Deska there on the team, really young at Hyde Park. But yeah, just ever since then, I've been kind of in love with the game. But pitching wise, that didn't start till I was in university. I was kind of more of a first baseman. We were missing some arms on the team at Mac, and I just kind of filled into that role, and that's about it. That's the story there. It just kind of took off from there. It kept getting better and kind of transitioned into that PO role as we went along.
Yeah, so I saw that you used to be a first baseman. I'm just kind of thinking of all the different positions on the baseball diamond, the one position that ended up being a pitcher was the guy who almost never throws the ball. How did that
Yeah.
end up happening?
Yeah, I think it was because I never threw it. It was just always in the zone. I was really easy, really relaxed on the mound, and that played when I was there at Mac. So especially with a coach who hated to see walks, it really worked out well.
I know that it was a bit of a wild ride, right? Once you came out of university playing at Mac, you finally end up getting an opportunity. You're going to go play out west. You're going to play for the Fort McMurray Giants. Well, for a lot of teams or for a lot of players at that time, that was right before the COVID season, right? And Fort McMurray, they were one of those teams that ended up folding because of COVID. Can you just tell me about that whole experience and what was it like once you knew you finally got that great opportunity and then the team ended up folding?
Yeah, I had heard about them having that season kind of during COVID, it seemed like it was, there's a light at the end of the tunnel kind of feeling of, hey, I got something to look forward to, something to work through during the lockdowns in the backyard, and yeah, it was really great, kept me going, kept me pushing. But then as soon as it folded, it just kind of felt like one of those, can't get a win these days. Everything's getting canceled, but ended up working out in my favor. I ended up reaching out to the Edmonton prospects in that league that still stayed afloat, and worked out to get out there. And I think where I am today is because of that opportunity. So, sometimes everything happens for a reason. Would have been great to play for Fort Mac and was super excited there, but glad I was still able to get out there and play.
Feel like that was kind of a turning point in your baseball career. Obviously, I mean, there was probably a mental hurdle to get over once that happened too, right? You finally feel like you get your big break and then it gets taken away. Was that kind of a make or break moment, you think, for you?
I think absolutely. I think when I went out there, that was realistically the first time playing in front of fans, paying fans, and I ended up starting game one of that season.
Yeah.
Haven't pitched in a year and a half, almost 2 years in a real life game, and I come back and I got to start at a brand new stadium in front of paying fans. It was definitely a shock to the system, but um, the fact that I got through that outing pretty clean, I think was, yeah, that specific outing was big turning point. Going, yeah, this hard work paid off, and there's something here. So
And if
yeah,
I'm
so
not mistaken, you ended up being the first pitcher to ever win a game, right? In that new stadium, was
yeah,
it?
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm in the history books there as the first winning pitcher in Sylvan Lake. Um, yeah, and seeing what they've done too out west. That's what a great organization they have.
A lot of the players that in the Intercounty Baseball League, they come from, Ontario and maybe kind of more east side of Canada. Well, I know that baseball is a little bit different out there in the West. What was it like playing out there on the West Coast?
Yeah, it was a blast. I absolutely loved it. I think all the fans and the communities really got around these teams and supported them. Like it was a fabric of that town wherever you went, and they're just so excited about baseball in the summer there. And uh, yeah, absolute blast. I can't say anything bad about my time out there. They really get involved and make you feel like you're at home.
So now you're here with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I talked to Sam Green last episode. All the fans would have seen this as well. He said that it was the young guys like you and Sam that are going to be really important pieces of this Toronto Maple Leafs bullpen. Do you feel that this is going to be a big year for not just you, but a lot of the young pitchers out in the bullpen for the Maple Leafs?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got our feet wet over the last couple of years, really got the experience of that IBL. But and I think this year, like with the way the team's shaping up and the league shaping up, we saw it last year. It's all hands on deck. You need everybody at the going at the right time to win it. And I think there's a few of us there that are just I think we're gonna have some big years. Really feel confident about this group.
You got some pretty good role models in the Maple Leafs organization too, right? Because there's the young group of guys, and there's a lot of young guys on the team. But there's some veteran players too, right? I look at guys like DR, who played for the Boston Red Sox, a guy like Angel Castro, who has a couple innings for the Oakland Athletics playing Major League Baseball too, and just a ton of other affiliated baseball players. What's it kind of like for you being close to, kind of the beginning of your career and just kind of being out there in the bullpen with some of those guys?
Yeah, especially for me last year, my experience was almost exclusively as a starter, so it was definitely a big change mentality wise for me, and I think those guys really were able to keep me calm down, and by the end of the year, kind of solidified. Okay, I've got this figured out a little bit, thanks to them, really, and it's because of their experience and them just being great guys, right? Take going, hey, hey, don't worry about it too much, like here's what you can do to improve on this, whether it's the mental side or the physical side. But having those guys is looking for the word here, but it's the intangibles. It's the intangibles, right? That you can't put on the stat sheet. You can't put a number to it, but the difference they make was huge. And I think, yeah, just keeping us solid and giving us that confidence to go out there every day and just knowing we're good and we can get the job done.
One of the tangible things and something you can put on the stat sheet has been the fastball velocity that we've seen from you. I don't think anyone really knows how hard people throw because we don't have radar guns here in the Intercounty Baseball League, but I've seen a couple Instagram videos of you getting it up to 95 miles an hour. That's something that I don't think a lot of people, even a lot of pitchers, can say that they've done. What was kind of, was that something when you were a kid that, I know there's lots of kids, right? They're throwing like 65 miles an hour, they have a growth spurt, and all of a sudden they're throwing 80. Was that something that happened for you, or is it kind of just a gradual development over the years?
Yeah, definitely a gradual development. It wasn't something when I was younger. I always had like an okay arm, but it wasn't anything special growing up. But I think over the years of just putting in the work, trying to get better, I just kept seeing little jumps of like 3 miles a year, 3 miles a year, and then they just kind of didn't stop. And then finally, we've kind of hit that top end that it slowed down a little bit. But yeah, no, I was never the fireballer, as you'd say, growing up. I was just a lot of hard work. Yeah.
Before I let you go here, Julian, I just want a bit of an outlook on the season. In your opinion, what do you think is a successful season for the Maple Leafs? I know if you were watching this team over the last 3 years, they have made it to 2 different finals. I'm sure you would love to get a taste of that as well with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But what does a successful season look like for the Maple Leafs in your eyes?
Yeah, I think from a team perspective, we got to win. We got to win. We've been knocking on the door the last 3 years. I mean, Game 5 last year against Welland, we were pretty much right there in such a tight ball game in that series. So I think on everybody's mind, it's to win a championship. But on an organization side, I think we've gone through some turbulence, and getting that fabric of the team and that identity back, I think is another success on their end, just off the actual baseball product.
Hey, Julian, thanks so much for stopping by. We can't wait to see you back on the mound for the Maple Leafs, and good luck this year.
Thanks so much, Thomas. Thanks for having me.
That's great stuff there from Julian Tymochko. Excellent conversation with him. And who knew, a first baseman his whole life ends up playing for McMaster University. They need some arms. He says, yeah, I can throw. So he ends up being a pitcher from being the guy that didn't throw the ball at all, playing at first base. And that was a really good transition. He's a guy who's got a great arm. He's got the fastball up over 90 miles an hour with the slider and the changeup this year. I think Tymochko is going to be an exciting piece for this Toronto Maple Leafs bullpen. We're going to say goodbye here from Leafs Weekly. Reminder, the home opener for the Toronto Maple Leafs is on May 12th. And you can watch that game on YouTube here on the Toronto Maple Leafs YouTube channel, or you can come to the game as well at Christie Pitts. So we look forward to seeing you there, and we look forward to the start of the Intercounty Baseball League season in 2024. Have a great rest of your day.